Well, great. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to the very first episode of the Newfangled Lawyer Podcast. This has been a passion project of mine of bringing real, authentic attorney stories to humanize the attorney experience to the masses. So I have the pleasure and great joy of having my good friend Sarah join us. And so I'm going to have Sarah just give a brief introduction of who she is and what makes her tick. So the floor is yours, Sarah.
Okay. Yeah, no pressure. No, just summate your whole life. And
Exactly.
My name is Sarah Soucie Eyberg. I am a solo Social Security disability attorney, firm owner here in the Twin Cities. I have 4 children. I love living in Minnesota and being outside all the time. And I think that Patrick and I have really bonded over our mutual love for law firm technology as well as attorney well-being.
Amen to that. And can you kind of talk about your journey of becoming an attorney? Your dad's an attorney.
Yes.
And, whether or not that informed kind of that path for you and how you show up day to day.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And there was never any assumption that I'd go to law school or pressure. I ended up going to the same college my dad went to also, and there was no, he was like, don't you want to apply to these places and let's go tour Carleton? And it just was always St. Thomas. I'm kind of I don't know. I'm kind of like a homebody. I like to be in places that I enjoy and have memories at. And my dad used to take me on campus at St. Thomas all the time when I was a kid. And that's where he went to law school. Not knowing anybody, came up here from the suburbs of Chicago, and his principal at his school had told him, well, maybe you should try junior college for a couple of years first and then see. And my dad was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to go play at this university and have this great time. So I really kind of fell in love with that. But it was the same thing with lawyering. I just watched him. I watched the work that he did for people and how grateful people were all the time and appreciative, and what a huge kind of emotional impact he could have in people's lives. He is a retired personal injury attorney and owned his own firm. I think within the first 10 years of practice, started his own firm and was kind of his own boss from there on out. And he had various partners in different conformities over the years, but that I didn't think that in particular would be my path. But when I was a kid, I loved horses. So I was going to be a horse farmer and a singer-songwriter and a fashion designer and a lawyer. And it was always and a lawyer. And a lawyer thing was the thing that never really dropped off. I realized my talents lay elsewhere, not a great drawer or accomplished singer. And so I ended up going to law school right after college, which I don't recommend. It always seemed to me that the people who had gotten out and gotten some real life experience and had other things to talk about or other experiences other than just being a really good student. I went, high school and college and then law school. And I got to law school and I was like, oh fuck, I'm not I didn't have the
multitude of alternative experiences.
Yeah. So the people who had been out and had a real job, they just did better.
Real. But real.
Right.
I took a couple years off in between undergrad and law school, and I was delivered furniture. I was a bouncer at a bar in Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
And then I was an admission counselor. Talk about it. Literally in a 2-year period of time.
That's a lot of jobs.
And they were all very different and quite frankly inform, kind of how I am as an attorney. Was those experiences. It's very humbling, and it's very real in those senses. And so, defining real job, Like when I grow up. So your path to being an attorney is just something you kind of always knew you're going to do.
Yeah, well, and I think it was accessible to me. This is something I realized a lot later, was that I never, like, it was accessible to me because I was watching someone do it. So I could see how it worked, and it was not an intimidating, unknown thing that only this like elite group of people can do. It was just like real life. And the way that my dad practiced, and the way that he always wanted to, was, you know, a lot along the lines of like Jerry Spence and being like a man of the people. Like that really meant a lot to him. And he was very successful, but he didn't act like one of those, you know, like pinstripe, you know, when I was clerking for a judge in Anoka County, this PI attorney came in and he had this like black pinstripe thing, and he's got this like lime green shirt and like a pinky ring. Like, I'm not kidding. You know,
a gold chain.
Yes. And my dad's vibe was like really down to earth, and to be like, he wanted his clients to like feel like, you know, like
he was the authentic human attorney before it was cool.
Yes. And that he used to tell me too. And that was something that I think came from Spence, and it came from an angle of like, this is how you reach a jury. But he kind of took it and just made it like, this is how I just reach people. He would tell like, probably some of the jokes he would tell are like, not like, don't tell those now, you know. And I'll
politically correct.
Yeah. And he loved that. He loved telling jokes to people. He loved like making people a little bit uncomfortable, but he'd also tell the really dumb dad jokes too, you know. But like he really wanted to be that. And he would tell me that we and other like law students I went to school with, like, we got to lead with our humanity first, because you know, ultimately, like, we're humans. And for him and for Jerry Spence, it was all about like trial work and like how to reach the jury, how to tell this story in a way that gets them on your side and wins you this case. And but he kind of, you know, that was how he operated in real life too. And I think some people can kind of put that on for a jury or for a trial, but to be that authentic all the time, I think is it's a real challenge for some people.
Yeah, no, it's the performative aspect
of
being a human, to fit in, to belong, to feel like you're part of the group. And it seems like your dad just figured out, unlocked that being himself was his greatest gift. So, I mean, in your practice or in your day-to-day life, what do you think it means to be an authentic attorney, the human attorney?
Yeah, you know, I think it's something that is hard to do right out of the gate. But I think I kind of learned at a younger age that like I just didn't. I had this real need for people to like me. You know, like into my 30s, like it was really hard. But I also have always had this warring kind of thing, like, well, but I can't be fake. I lack the ability. I can be like polite and kind to people, and I can be real civil even if I'm upset, but like I cannot pretend like it. I think that's exhausting. And so like putting on a different persona, or like trying to like curate things in a way to always or be thinking about what people are thinking all the time, that to me was really really exhausting. And so like that's just kind of that. You should just be able to just exist, right? And like we just had a discussion in there's this women firm owner Facebook group. We just had a discussion. This woman said, "Let me see all your girl law websites, because I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm trying to design my website, whatever." And this, you know, a bunch of people were putting links in, and then this lady said, "Well, I don't think you should do anything like girl law. I think you should like make sure it's polished and professional and sharp, and your clients will care about that." Da, 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 da. And I was like, I don't think we should equate femininity and like girly things and like frilly stuff with not being professional, because that's made up. Like that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So like
so a couple things there to unpack. When did you flip the switch? Was there like a life event or like an aha moment where you're just like, I don't care anymore, and I'm going to go from kind of trying to fit in and appease these external forces to just saying like, enough of that. I'm going to rock pink hair and have tattoos and pierce my nose and rebel in your 30s?
I think, yeah. So I think it started when I was in like, I remember very clearly like 6th, 7th grade. But it used to really torture me. Like I was always myself, but like it would just hurt my little baby feelings that people didn't like me. But like I said, like I couldn't put on this facade. And that's the time that you try on different personalities, right? When you're in like middle school, high school, you're trying to figure it out. So then by the time I got to college, I was more of like it was like fake it till you make it. Like I just pretended like I didn't care for a long time. And then when I got to college, interpersonally, it was fine. I felt fine being myself and like take it or leave it kind of attitude about it. But what came up more was like sort of the systemic expectations for women and the societal things that become internalized that you have to kind of battle on your own. So like I still participated in a lot of the stuff that I, especially like in law school and being a young woman, like you have to present in a way like to be super competent and super reasoned and not, and like I'm thinking about headlines and what your hair looks like and things like that. And
it's like a whole added layer of what it means to be professional.
Yes. Yeah, it is on top of it. Like you're no longer taken seriously for like, you might be taken less seriously for what's coming out of your mouth based on how you look. And so, I tried to live within the confines of that for a while. And then I became a mother, and that will mess up your whole identity, right? And like you really lose yourself. And to try and be a mother and a professional and like a woman, and like all of a sudden, like it was like that, like kind of like slow boil. Like I'm just like, what? This is such bullshit. Like it's ridiculous the amount of extra things that I have to think about or be worried about. The social media mommy wars. That's like, I had a thought, like my youngest is now, he'll be 7. When he was going into preschool, I was looking at all these options and I found this one, and it was this gymnastics school that also had a preschool. And I was like, well, that's cool. And there's a real focus on moving your bodies, which is important to me. And I think is underplayed, right? Certainly in our school systems is not enough actual body movement.
Play.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But as I was like seeing this thing that really resonated like with my values, at the same time, it was like, well, what if it's not academically rigorous enough? And then I was like, oh my God, he's 3. It'll be okay. He needs to just like learn how to stand in line in preschool and recognize his own name, and he's ready for kindergarten. Like it's not that serious. And so we put him in that gymnastics preschool, and he did great, and he does great, in kindergarten. And you know what? He's a really nice friend that helps all of the other students in class. And like, that is more important to me than whether he's reading at 4,
I mean, it's those social emotional pieces.
Yes. So then when the pandemic hit, and then it was like 2020, I was like, fuck that. I have no energy or resiliency left for anything that doesn't serve me. So the pandemic came, like the undercut to the hair came, the more like bolder colors. This is a haircut I always thought was so cool and always really wanted to do, but I didn't think would look good on me because my hair is so fine, and I thought you'd be able to see my scalp, it would look terrible. And that's not true at all. And like I never would have known if I hadn't tried to do it and seen if.
And what's the reaction been?
Oh my God, everybody loves it. I get so many compliments from strangers. I get a lot about the hair color too. But it's not even, I don't think it's even how it looks. It's just that I love it. How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? I feel so happy and feel so like confident and comfortable that it just like that just pours over to people. And like I am a person, I have a lot of charisma, I've been told, and that can be magnetic.
Big personality.
Yeah. And that can be kind of magnetic. And so I think there is some of that piece of it, but I really think it's that I feel like kind of at home in this particular style. And then I've always been a person who will like, I don't know, I kind of want to see what that looks like. So I'll try it, like my mom and my sisters are always like, oh, you always make everything look cute. And I'm like, it's just because I like it, and when I'm wearing it, it makes me feel happy. I'm not afraid to take a risk that way. And, but I have taken a lot less risk with like my own personal appearance for a long time, because I thought that that's what I had to do in order to make it,
And so in terms of risks, I love the conversation around healthy risk. What are some other healthy risks that you think you've taken that have paid off for you?
Yeah. I think like hair is a big deal for women. And so like the stakes there, like if you shave part of your head, like it's going to take a while before you can get that back. And so that felt like a healthy risk. I think for me, signing up for a triathlon this fall, was
that'll be awesome.
A healthy risk. Yeah. Because
where are you doing that?
I won't drown. I know that I can swim around, and I can ride a bike without falling over, but like I don't have a lot of skill in those areas. And so I also hate failing and not being good at stuff. And so for me to try, like kind of put myself out there and try and do this thing, I was excited about the challenge. I am excited about the challenge of it, but it's more about like being uncomfortable, I think, with that. It sounds kind of, I mean, I guess it's not dumb. It sounds kind of dumb that like, signing up for a race is like a healthy risk, but like my ego
but for a lot of people, we avoid failure so much that then we don't get to succeed in a way that is meaningful to us.
Yeah.
And particularly for attorneys, right? Like we become so risk averse. We become so outcome determinative. And how we apply that then to our own lives becomes suffocating, becomes stifling. We end up in a very fixed mindset with a very narrow vision. And so what are other things you're exploring in your life?
Like you mentioned, I got my nose pierced, which like, again, not that risky to some people, but it's an anomaly, I would say, like facial.
And what kind of nose piercing?
It's a septum nose piercing, which is different, right?
Yeah.
Lots of,
I
was looking around one day and I noticed like, I think all these women around me have like a nose piercing, like the little stud, but I always thought that these septum piercings looked really cool. And I always like wanted to like be that lady. And I was like, well, why don't I be that?
Because you are that lady.
Yeah. Yes, it turns out. And I have these really long fingernails that are super impractical, and otherwise like that kind of, it almost feels like vanity to me to have something that like, but it's silly because it's not like a septum piercing is like serving a function for me either. But this is one of those things that I think
it is to a certain extent.
Yes.
I think it makes you feel most like you.
It does.
So
it does.
Even if it's not functional in the terms of like a practical sense.
Yes.
You seem very practical in a lot of ways. Do you have to compete between like this dreamer mind and like the practical mind?
Yes, because I the practicality, and it keeps me grounded, which is a good thing. But that's the kind of thing that like I don't want to do something. It goes back to the failure, that driving need to be competent, right? Which I unlocked with my therapist. Which anybody listening who doesn't go to a therapist, you should go because it's great.
Yes, 100%.
And I had no idea that I had this core need to be competent, which is why I hate failing. It's why I feel so stressed all the time to make sure that I'm keeping everything going. Why I feel like I should keep everything going instead of letting some things go, and why I feel like I have to, and like as soon as I knew that was, oh my God, that was crazy. But like, so that's the practical side of me, is like I dream and want to do all these things, but I'm not going to start it unless I think I can do it, and I like to win. And so like, I'm not going to do it unless I think I'm going to,
It's that I just got done reading Susan Cain's book called Bittersweet, and she talks about in how in American culture we're all about the winners and losers.
Yes,
You're either successful or you're a loser, and you can see that play out, right? No one wants to be a loser,
right.
And so losing requires some amount of failure.
Yeah,
and you're almost ashamed to fail. I mean, I was thinking about it in terms of like sports prospects going pro. Man, I mean, if you go to ESPN, basically now is just a bunch of criticizing and a bunch of ranking. That's it. It's less about the story of overcoming tragedy or overcoming failure, but that's the human condition,
right?
It is going through those things. So, I mean, in your own journey on this, what's next? What are some other things that you're like, hey, this is the thing I've wanted to do my whole life, and now I'm like working towards it. I'm like iterating towards it.
Yeah. I am gonna get another tattoo next week.
What are you getting? Tell us about your tattoo story.
It's gonna be a crescent moon with like there's like these like it's like a moon silhouette with like the it'll be like kind of forest and like almost like a lake scene at night kind of thing. And then the like sky piece will be like aurora borealis colors. And I'm really
very Minnesota.
Yes, that's kind of so lots of people, lots of our fellow Minnesotans out there have like just like straight the state tattooed on their body, and I don't know what it is about living here. I know lots of people do that, but
like it's a cool looking state. I mean, it's not a square.
Yeah, it doesn't look it doesn't look like
not boring.
It's not a rectangle, North Dakota, but but I don't know. I have lived here my whole life. Being up north, that kind of thing is really resonates with me. And then also just like the kind of the moon cycle, that kind of thing, and being outside. It's all like a big piece of kind of my mentality, my spirituality, things that make me feel like I'm in the right spot. And so it was kind of a way to combine all of those.
And so with the tattoos, how do you kind of come up with what you're going to get?
So
and what does it mean to you? The display, right? Some people, it's another vanity, could be another vanity piece.
It is. This feels like it's almost like, I might as well like tattoo my core values, because that's kind of how it feels. That's like that's what I'm drawn to. And I know a lot of people, especially people that get a lot of tattoos, like silly ones, or they like to just like they just want that, or they have like a fandom or something like that. And like I think anybody's reason, first of all, it doesn't matter why you want to get a tattoo. Like it just matters that you like it, it's your body. But I got my first tattoo when I was like 20 years old, and it was this huge flower like on my hip, and with a bumblebee, because bumblebees, like, it's that aerodynamically shouldn't be able to fly, but they do it anyway kind of thing. So that was meaningful to me, and it was my favorite flower. And so that's kind of how I justified it. But I spent a lot of time. I mean, when you're 18, 2 years feels like a really long time to think about something.
It's all relative. Relative.
Yeah.
So 2 years, you're like, oh my gosh, that happened in a blink of an eye.
At the time it like felt like a really long time to decide something. But then I went like, what is it, almost 12 years, longer than that, like 15 years before I got another tattoo, which was this quote on the inside of my right arm, which says, "Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you," with a nice little dissent collar underneath it. And that was kind of an homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's, for a white female attorney, is kind of like the epitome, right? And this was, I got this done. It was after she had died, but there were, she just has been kind of a meaningful character, someone who I admired greatly for the things that she did do and the things that she cared about and the things she endured. Like, I really feel like we owe it to Esther Tomjanovich and Rosalie Wall are a couple of Minnesota female attorney turned judges that like really I admire a lot, because it, like I was saying at the very beginning, which I never actually closed out, it was easier for me, even though I think of my gender certainly as being a disadvantage, at least at the beginning of my career and going through law school. I think there's a lot of work we still need to do for women in our profession.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you think it means to be a modern female attorney, and being a mom attorney?
Yeah.
And what is it that needs to change or happen to support kind of the broader sense of what it means to be an attorney?
Yeah,
I think you can't deny your otherness other than your role as being an attorney.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you ask in any room of attorneys now who's been mistaken for like a court reporter or paralegal in the courtroom when they're there for their own case, and it's women and, people of color or others that have gotten that question. And it's not, it's not the men in the room, certainly not the white men. And like, that's still a thing, or, dealing with people consistently underestimating you. If you are passionate about something, this happened to me actually really recently in the last couple years. A criticism that has been leveled at me for my work in the Bar Association is that I am too passionate and not well reasoned enough. And that came from, I'm not going to ascribe motivations to it, but it's really frustrating to me because it turns out I am passionate. It's not a detraction. I am an effective leader because of that passion. And I get people to come along with me. And there was criticism of how effective I was, I think is where that came from.
Do you think that has to do with that? Traditionally, historically, kind of the archetype attorney would be someone who's not caring, not compassionate, cold, austere, and countering that with being the very caring, compassionate, empathetic attorney is almost seen as a weakness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a piece of it. I think gender is a big piece of it, because I think that I don't think I would get that same. They wouldn't use that same word to describe me if I were not a woman.
No, you'd be zealous. You'd be zealous.
Yeah, I would be.
Which is even a part of professional responsibility. Represent your client with zeal. This just came up. Someone just asked me with how I structure my work week. If you can still have zeal and not work all the time, or set boundaries.
Yeah.
So how do you delineate, between your kind of professional existence and your personal existence, or do they kind of bleed into each other?
I think they definitely bleed into each other a ton, and especially because I work from home. Like I have a virtual law office, so this is where I do my work, and so my kids are seeing me do my work, and they're so quiet in the car when I'm on a phone conference. Like it's unbelievable.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah,
they have like a reverence to what you're doing.
Yes,
and they like understand it to some degree, even if you don't explain it to them.
Yes. And when I was a kid, I would go to my dad or with my dad to work all the time. Like he used to get breakfast every morning at like 6:30 in the morning at this same restaurant in Anoka downtown where we had lunch. He would go he had this big corner booth he would just take up himself, and he would have his staff like bring files to him, and he would just kind of set up shop there. And when I was a kid, I would go and he would work and I would sleep on the booth, like, cause it was super early. And then when it was time for me to go to school, like I would wake up and like on the booth and have breakfast with him. And then he would take me to school, just as like a way to hang out. And so like, it's all in math.
He was ahead of his time.
He really was. Yeah, he did stuff exactly how he wanted to.
Which must have been. I mean, that's still counterculture now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine then it was probably extremely counterculture.
Mm-hmm.
He's even spending time with his kid at breakfast. Granted, you were sleeping, but that's like, even now is becoming more, I guess, acceptable. Than it was before. It's almost like a pride point.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I have the opportunity to, with the modern way of practicing law, to be there for my kids.
Yes. Yeah. On Tuesday, like I said, I think before we started recording, I have a hearing every day this week, and they can be really taxing, just like mentally and emotionally, to have that much to prepare for and whatever. So the rest of my day ends up being a little light. And Tuesday, after my hearing in the afternoon, I didn't have any more phone conferences. And so I took my boys to like the splash pad, their sisters at camp this week. And I just we sat in the sun and they splashed with the splash pad, and I read a book while they were doing that. And it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. I have my best friend is a pharmacist, and she has a friend who's a pharmacist too. And I took a Friday and went to the zoo not that long ago to take my kids to the zoo, because we hadn't done any like fun summer outings really like that are around town. And so we went to the zoo and saw the dinosaurs and llamas and everything, and the bird show. That's a big thing for my kids. And this gal, she always goes, "Oh, I just love your schedule, Sarah." And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm my own boss. So I'm the one who has to get all the work done. But yeah, I can fuck off on a Friday if I feel like it, as long as nobody's waiting for me and I don't have court scheduled, that's important to me. I would never, I don't know how much money it would take in an annual salary for me to walk away from this much autonomy and control over things. I cannot. I mean, I'm sure there's a number, right?
Well,
I just do it.
I mean, there's a number for anything. It's like someone on LinkedIn just asked a question. If someone paid you $1 million, would you give up pizza? And, it's, the answers are funny, you might consider it. And so, it's how do you define success or fulfillment in your career? In your life, how do you define, fulfillment, success, in the traditional sense, like you make this amount of money, this amount of prestige, you win these kind of awards. Right. I mean, you were just a super lawyer, rising star super lawyer, Yeah. But is that it? Is that the thing, or is it something else?
No, I mean, I do. I can't, like I said, I like to win. I got, I get various recognition, but a lot of that is like, who and stuff. You gotta do the things, and like my good buddy Landon will nominate me for an award, and then but also if I wasn't out doing the stuff, they probably wouldn't, because I wouldn't, nobody'd be thinking of me, I guess. But I like it. It's nice to get recognition. My kids think it's really cool. Like they did like a bench and bar, like colleague corner one time. And Mina was like, "My mom's in a magazine." She thought it was the coolest thing ever, which I totally, appreciate. And that was like a few years ago. So it seems like a shift. Like, yes,
you used to care about kind of what other people.
Yeah.
And it seems like now, like it's almost like your kids.
Oh yeah, I absolutely
like it shifted, like maybe to like everyone, this amorphous everyone to is like, what example am I setting for my kids?
Yeah. Well, and so when my kids wake up and like ask me to work out with them, like that makes me feel good, because I know that was something that like, and I'm not like a crazy exercise person. I don't like work out 4 times a day, and I'm not 115 pounds and really worried about that. But I really like to exercise because it makes me feel better and because it helps with my anxiety. And I'm consistent enough that they pick up on that too. Mm. And one of our kind of family values is this idea of like, working hard for things. Because I think both Jason and I felt like
And Jason's your husband.
Jason's my husband. Yes.
I know that.
Yes. When we were kids, like I said, I like to win. I like to be good at things, and I wouldn't try hard at stuff that I wasn't good at right away, so I happened to be pretty talented, and so I could be good at things, and so there was a lot for me to do, but the really hard stuff, like I wish I would have worked harder. And so that's what we want, for our kids is like, and it's hard to be disciplined. I was talking to Roland on our way to wrestling practice on Tuesday. He was like, yeah, but I'm not going to work hard. Like, I don't like doing that. And I was like, well, yeah, buddy, no one likes doing that. But, I was like, do you understand why you have to do this conditioning as part of wrestling practice? Your coach knows that if you can just last longer than that other guy, if you don't get as tired as him as fast, you can win by just that. And to me, that is all like so accessible. Like I'm not going to be an Olympian. I'm just not. I'm not that athletically talented. I'm not fast. I like to run and I can do it. I can finish a 5K. I can finish a 10K, like I can do those things. And if you do those things like consistently enough, that in itself is really fulfilling. I don't have to win the race to want to enjoy that sport,
It's in the effort. It's in the effort and
it is
in the fact that you did it and you showed up, and it's fascinating. There's this term called effortless perfectionism.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things, particularly for people in the legal profession. We want to look like we're the smartest dude in the room, but we've done the least amount of preparation. Like I just rolled in here and I'm going to do the best deposition ever. Like prep up barely. It's either that or the flip side is another extreme. Like I worked so much. You won't even believe how much I work.
Yeah. I have the ability, like I'll just torture myself because that's how hard I work. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's damned if you do, damned if you don't almost.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you can't look like if you spent a long time on it, or if it took you a long time to get something, then you're not as talented as the other people. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like the things that we like spend our energy on, it's silly,
it's almost what you said it's like this. It's in the act of showing up consistently. So talk about that some more.
So like I think that there is so much more to be gained by just doing that. And it's little things. And this is nothing revolutionary. It's something I came up with. It's the atomic habits. It's that little incremental thing. And like what could you do? Don't think about having to overhaul your whole life at one time, because that's not sustainable and people don't like that. What could you do to make things 1% better? That's a question we come up in like lawyer coaching all the time, is like, okay, well, you can't like overhaul all of this today. And so like, what could you do that would make it 1% better? Like this problem that you're trying to solve, is there something you can do right now that would change that? And to me, like the kind of, when I can be consistent, and it doesn't matter if it's like, okay, I have like this morning routine I like to do. If I can be consistent with that, if I can consistently journal or do like a gratitude practice, if I can consistently work out or consistently get time outside, and like, what does that do? And it permeates so many other areas of my life. The morning routine is one thing that like, and I've been struggling. So this is the other thing is like, social media, or you get this kind of reputation. There are these people out there who think I exercise all the time. I'm always up at 5 a.m. And I love doing that. Sure. I have not been able to get up before like 6:30 in months. And I can't unlock what it is that's preventing me. And it's something I know if I can, and when I start doing that, I am more organized. My house is cleaner because like I just I don't know why that works because I don't clean more. It doesn't feel like it anyway. I do better with work. I'm better with my kids. Like I budget for our family. And then I also have more time to do like hobbies and things that I care about. I'll read like 20 minutes of a book in the morning because I have the time to, or I get my exercise out of the way right away. And then everything else just flows from that. And it is so much better.
It's like you're in a flow state.
Yes. Yeah. Everything feels easier. Everything feels easier. And I'll tell you, like, we talked about like your kids kind of watching and that means a lot to me. Like it was one of the reasons that I started going to therapy last fall, and a reason that I started taking meds for my anxiety this spring, because I don't want my kids to remember mom is stressed out all the time, and I am stressed because I take on a lot and because I care about everything. It drives my husband crazy. He's like,
you're a sponge.
Not everything can be a passion project. Like you have to pick some things. And I'm like, in my mind,
let some things go.
Yeah, I can't. I love all of the things, like, although
what happens when all the things you love are on the same level playing field?
Yeah, it's really
you got to let something go, and you have to decide what is one of these things you are going to let go that you care about so much.
Yes.
It feels like a death. Feels like a loss.
Oh, you have to mourn it. Yeah, I have done that. I've axed some things out, like organizations that meant a lot to me that I put a lot of time in. I walked away from because they were not meeting the obligation I thought that they had to their members. And that was hard. That was really weird. And I've thought about it with, the bar association stuff too. I've thought about walking away. I haven't yet because I care about it a lot and I really appreciate it. But the psychiatrist was like, well, maybe you can just like show up to one of your kids' things and drop them off, and you don't have to be the coach, or you don't have to be the leader, you don't have to be involved. And in that moment I was like, oh, but I love those things fill my cup, and those things make me feel happy. And so then I got an assistant for work so I can spend less time doing some of my work stuff, so that
it's a trade-off. Like there's only a finite amount of energy.
Yes.
Not even time, but more so you only have so much energy to give as a human. And to deny ourselves of that, that's denying our humanity. And we aren't robots. We would love to unlock more energy, right? So much is like, can get you more energy, more time, more efficient.
Yep. Yeah.
More organized. Well, there's a plateau to that, an individual plateau. And so you mentioned giving like a gratitude journey. Yeah. What are you grateful for?
Oh, so many things. And some things that are just dumb things too. But like, I really.
What are the dumb things? What do you think is dumb?
I love
that's a self-criticism. So
yes. I really like coffee mugs. I like having a different one all the time. I like having Oh, I like that. It says Newfangled.
Do you want one?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'll get you.
I got some for my firm that are boring, but it is a coffee cup that is, first of all, I really like my logo, and like I use purple and gray. I love that color. And so like, it's very you. It's very you. Yeah. But this coffee cup is just like the perfect height, and it feels so good in your hand. Like it is a very standard, nothing special kind of mug. I have other mugs that I really, really like. Like there's this one that says, fuck off, I'm knitting. It's purple, of course, also, and it's handmade, and I just love it. Yeah. And I have so many Halloween mugs. There's one that I have that says I'm a lawyer by day and a witch by night.
I love that. My joke is I'm a lawyer by day, normal person by night.
Yes,
that's fantastic.
Yes.
Or maybe we should say abnormal person by night.
Right.
Maybe I need to change it.
I had this. I would take pictures. Like I do like a different mug selfie every morning when I was doing my morning routine, and I really liked that too. And people loved it. It was fun, And there was this attorney who asked one of his associates, is a friend of mine, and he's like, "Is she really a witch?"
Maybe. Hey, maybe.
I told her, I was like, "Yes, tell him yes." And let's see how long
you spiritually connect most with being in nature.
Yeah. See?
So I mean there it is right there. I mean there's something too about the sacredness of the mug.
Mm-hmm.
Even like teacups in like Japanese tea ceremonies, there's some amount of like what you infuse. It's very personal, very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And when it breaks,
Oh,
you know, in the Japanese culture, it's like a loss.
yeah, you mourn it.
And that's why they fix it.
Yes.
There's almost you know, it's called kintsugi, where they fix the mugs. And those mugs are more valued, more revered than the perfect mug. And so I love that you're grateful for your mug collection.
I'm also grateful for my children and my family and my health. Actually, with the work that I do, I'm very thankful to have my health, because I just like the amount of I threw my back out driving the boat for the kids, whipping them through waves while they were tubing, and I was just turned and bounced strong because I'm aging now, and apparently that's a thing that happens. But
to all of us, it's inevitable.
My God. And I had 2 days where I couldn't function really well, and then a couple more weeks where I had to kind of take it easy with exercise and stuff. And it was miserable, and I was grumpy, and my clients live like that all the time. Or I told you too, I've had this day 3 of a headache migraine thing I got going on, and it sucks. And I have clients with 15, 16 migraine days a month. I hate that is life for them. So I am very grateful for that, and very grateful, honestly, for the health of my children. I have a friend of our family who just lost their daughter, who was kind of medically fragile, had a lot of complications from birth. And I just, even now to think about it, they're family friends. We haven't been close in many years since we were kids, but my body mourns that. I can feel it in my chest just thinking about that. So I don't know how parents who have gone through that kind of loss go on, because I cannot see a way that I could do that.
So it's some consider, rightfully so, it's the most sorrowful experience that you can go through as a parent in the loss of a child, because it creates just such a longing, right? And it's such a loss because you don't perceive it or don't want to think about it having ended. And I think, in the work that we do as attorneys, right, particularly the areas of practice that you and I do, where you're dealing with people that are in mourning, basically. They're going through the crappiest thing they've ever gone through. You give a lot.
Yes.
Right. And so it seems like you've kind of struck a good balance of, you have this practice, but you have your life. And your life allows you to heal or build up tools or build up resilience or grit or determination paired with your own personality. Of wanting to achieve and be passionate to allow you to show up for your clients.
Yes.
And so, what I think we'll kind of leave with is, what do you think it means to be a newfangled attorney?
I think that that really comes with that healthy risk kind of idea, right? Just try it, and I think, and it also goes back to that fear of failure that plagues so many of us attorneys. We don't want to try something new if it's not going to work out. And if you don't do that, or if you don't try kind of the next thing, or look at, is that system that you're operating in even serving you anymore? What does that look like? That was something, I am really open about having, quit drinking. And I was using alcohol as a crutch to help me with anxiety, masking this underlying issue that I wasn't dealing with, that wasn't getting better. That was a system that did not serve me, and it didn't serve my family. And it, I have not looked back since then.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Echo that. Echo
yes.
all. So.
And it's hard because it's such an intrinsic part of our professional culture, like that hustle kind of culture. Like you always have to be the last one. You don't care, or you're not a hard worker if you're not the last one there. You're not being zealous if you're not the last one to leave the office, you're the first one there.
Yeah, you don't care about our profession if you're not at happy hour.
Right. Yeah. Like how could you possibly like get where
you're gonna miss out, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
Or how do you like I told an attorney recently that I quit drinking now over a year ago. And he's like, that's the only way I can hope to fall asleep at night. And that's real, right? There's these kind of negative risks that attorneys feel very comfortable with taking to cope with the stresses of being an attorney that they would never advise a client to do.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
and it's kind of how do you recreate the path and be a trailblazer and kind of set the standard from a authentic point of view of just being Sarah.
Yeah. I think it's that you have to get through that fear of the ego. Cause like when I quit drinking, like I didn't talk about it at all really with like professions. I talked about it with my dad because he's been sober a long time too. His dad was an alcoholic. And so that just like, that kind of unlocks something for him. And he feels really passionately about that too. And he went like the AA route and gets a lot from that. But I didn't talk about it with people because I didn't want them to think that I wasn't competent. I didn't want them to think that I didn't have it together. And I was worried that they would change what they thought about me. And some probably have, but most people, and especially like these younger law students, like I'm very candid about it now because so many people, when I have come up to me and it was and said how much they appreciated me talking about that, because I think that looking at our profession from the outside or coming to it new as a student, you're just really inundated with this like culture of like never show weakness, and you have to be at all the things and doing all the stuff, and like you have to always be on top, and like don't ever look like you don't know the answer.
There's one right way.
Yeah,
there's like a normative standard to humanity,
right?
Being an attorney, we should all look and be the same way because that's what humans are, and that's the people that need us. Well, Sarah, this has been awesome. As always. So is there anything you want to say to send us off here about, how you're going to continue to be Sarah?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, and not you and I have talked about this before, but like in order to make some of these changes in your practice or in your professional life, or even in how you present in your personal life, like you have to know those things about yourself. Like you have to do the work, the internal work. I had to do some of it when I was trying to figure out, what are my core values for my law firm? What is my mission? What's my vision? What am I trying to do with this? And it's hard to put that stuff to paper. And I'm not, like you said, I'm really practical. I'm not like a wishy-washy, like feelings kind of person, despite like my level of compassion and empathy. When it comes to like myself and like how I am, like, I don't think about things like that. And when I started to, like, it just unlocked a lot of things for me. And like, I started talking about one, I have, I've gotten in the last 2 years, 3 more tattoos, and I have another one that I'm getting next week, and then another one in September. Like, so like it, and then I also pierced my nose, did this hair, and all of that has come just in the last couple of years when I started doing that internal work. I feel like I've always been an authentic person because I am a really bad liar too. Like I can't be fake and I cannot tell lies. I'm terrible at it. So I don't. Right? So I just like have always had to kind of sit in this uncomfortable like truth telling, figure out how to do that with people. But now I get to add, oh my God, so much more flavor to things, and like try new stuff, and like do something like pierce my nose on a whim, and like really enjoy what that does for me. Like really enjoy.
You're living.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's almost in recognizing that we can change, and every moment we are changing. And at no point are we the same, nor should we. We're not static.
Right.
Well, Sarah, you bring such a just dynamic viewpoint that I think is really beneficial. I think people benefit from hearing, what you do, and how you do it. And so I hope, through this podcast and this episode and the ones to come, that people can kind of see that attorneys were real people.
Yes.
Every day
absolutely.
we're real people, and our identities are not tethered to the fact that we are attorneys.
Right.
But that's just one part, a very important part of who we are, but it is not the only aspect. We're not flat in that way. So I will now stop recording. I can edit that out, or maybe I keep it in. Who knows?